What we're going to do is we're going to look at fractional exponents. We're going to be using the rules of exponents. So the first rule of exponent is power property. This is when we multiply, we add the exponents. So if we're looking at example 1, we multiply the 3 and the 8, and that gives us 24. We multiply the x and the x. I add the 1/2 to the 5/2, and that gives me 6/2, which is 3. And then I have 1 plus a half, and 1 plus a half is 3/2. So we're doing the exact same thing as we've done before. The only difference is that we have fractions instead of just whole numbers. Second rule is power property. This means that when we multiply, when we raise an exponent to an exponent, we multiply. So an example would be letter C. We're going to multiply, so that becomes 4 to the 1/2. This becomes x. 2 times a half is 1. And then 6 times a half is 3. Now, 4 to the 1/2 we talked about yesterday. That would be the same thing as the square root of 4, which is 2. So it would be 2xy to the third. I'm going to skip down to zero property. Anything to the 0 is 1. So if we look at this one right here, anything to the 0 is 1. Since there's a 9 on the outside, 9 times 1 gives me 9. Then what we have is quotient property. When we divide, we subtract. And I'm going to combine this with negative property. Whenever I have a negative exponent, I flip it from the top to the bottom or the bottom to the top. So looking at letter D, 4 over 6 reduces to 2/3. I see a negative exponent, so I bring it up. That would be 3 over 2 plus 1/2. And that would be, of course, 4/2 or 2. So that would be x squared. I have a negative right here. I bring it down. That becomes 3/4 plus 1/2. I need a common denominator, so that would be 3/4 plus 2/4, which is 5/4. Let's look at a few more examples. For letter E, we're multiplying. So we have 5 times 7 is 35. We add the exponents, so 1/3 plus 1/2. We need a common denominator, which would be 6. So that would be 2/6 and 3/6, which is 5/6. This is a 1, this is a 5/4, so that would be 1 plus 5/4. Need a common denominator, so that would be 4/4 plus 5/4, which is 9/4. Anything to the 0 power is 1, so my answer is 1. I'm going to distribute the 1/3 to each of the terms. I'm going to multiply it. So 125 to the 1/3. I have x to the 2/3, and I have y to the 12/3. 125 to the 1/3 would be the cube root of 125, which is 5. I have x to the 2/3, and then 12 divided by 3 gives me 4. And then for the last one, 14 over 21, we can divide it by 7, so that would be 2 over 3. We subtract the 3/5 and the 1/3, and they have a common denominator of 15. So this would be 9, this would be 5. So that would be 4/15. Notice that there's more on the top, so I keep the x on the top. Here's a negative exponent, so I bring it up, and that becomes 2 plus 2/3. I need a common denominator, so that would be 6/3 plus 2/3, which adds up to 8/3.